California continues to break COVID records, and as a result hospitals in the state are being crushed by an influx of patients. ICU beds are rapidly disappearing, especially in the southern half of the state. Donald Trump has tweeted 729 times since the election, and none of those tweets were about COVID's death toll. If that doesn't show you he isn't taking COVID seriously, try this on for size. Pfizer said that it has millions of vaccines ready to ship out, but the federal government hasn't directed those shipments. Jenna Ellis, one of the lawyers on Trump's legal team, has COVID. If you're hearing Queens, another one bites the dust ringing in your ears. Rudy Giuliani, the center of media spectacles about the so-called stolen election, has COVID. His son, Andrew Giuliani, also has COVID. The White House, already chock full of coronavirus cases, is hosting nearly a dozen indoor holiday parties. Donald Trump Jr. tested positive for COVID 2 weeks ago. In case that doesn't make it abundantly clear that Trump doesn't care about COVID and who gets it, and who might die because of it, a whopping 130 Secret Service agents are either COVID positive or quarantining after Trump refused to quarantine and took a victory lap from the hospital where he was recovering from COVID. 3 more people close to Donald Trump have tested positive for COVID. 2 are White House aides, including the political director, and the 3rd was a guest of Rudy Giuliani. Mark Meadows, Trump's chief of staff, has also recently tested positive for COVID. His aides are frustrated because he did not issue a statement and only advised a close circle. That put Trump's entire staff at risk. The White House's COVID outbreak spread to the vice president's office. His chief of staff, Mark Short, tested positive for the virus. Despite Pence's exposure, he will still travel. Stephen Miller, one of the president's senior advisors, also got COVID. Trump's press secretary Kayleigh McEnany and 2 of her deputies tested positive for COVID, as did a New York Times White House reporter, who complained that the White House is not contact tracing. Because Trump and his campaign team were careful with their COVID precautions, officials in the 4 states he visited had to scramble to figure out who might be at risk. Trump's brush with COVID was not as minor as he made it sound. A source told the Associated Press that President Trump was given supplemental oxygen before going to the hospital. At the hospital, he was taken off oxygen, but he was also given his first dose of remdesivir, an experimental antiviral treatment. Ronna McDaniel, the chairwoman of the Republican National Convention, has also tested positive for COVID. And, according to Christ Christie, no one on Trump's debate prep team was wearing a mask, meaning it is likely that all of Trump's aides have been exposed to COVID. Some staffers report that Trump was showing signs of COVID on Wednesday, leading to some fears that Joe Biden might have been exposed during Tuesday's debate. Fortunately, Biden has tested negative so far. For more viral news fast, please subscribe and click the bell icon here.